Tope Fasua joins me here at the table. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Global Analytics. Welcome, Mr. Fasua, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Where do we start from? Before the break, I said, which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way? Hey, who sang that song again? Someone help me.
Sonny Okoso.
Sonny Okoso. Thank you, guys. Yes. Which way Nigeria? Late Sonny Okoso.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And we are still which way Nigeria. Where do we start from, Tope? Tell me, you know, amongst all the headlines you've been seeing, India has overtaken Nigeria as the world's poorest country again. 83 million India has living in extreme poverty. Nigeria has 70 million. We're just trailing behind. So it's not time to laugh yet also. Which of the headlines? National grid collapse. I talked about energy and electricity yesterday. So many things, you know. And a lot of things even messing up my mental state. Some of the things socially you see, people that are very close to me know. You can't send me all those WhatsApp stuff that you see people ritual. It's really crazy. So which way Nigeria? So amongst all those headlines, which one should we start? Which one do you want to take first?
Well, in fact, I think the one that bugs my mind the most now is the fact that even at 101 Brent crude or 139 Brent crude, we are told that we will have to suffer more. So we were thinking that, you know, okay, maybe this is a lucky break for Nigeria, you know, unfortunately for Ukrainians. We don't want the war to last for long, but the distortions to the system will certainly last for long. And so we're hoping that, okay, Nigeria should make better margins. But we're being told that Nigerians will have to suffer more. And the Minister for State for Petroleum said that Nigeria should prepare, in his word, for serious economic crisis. I'm like, what's going on? But indeed, I think the man is right. Further analyses and studies on the sector shows that we're really, we've hit rock bottom in Nigeria. I'm afraid if, contrary to what happened in 1973 under Gowon, we made a windfall in the what they call the Yom Kippur War between Israel and Egypt. You know, oil prices skyrocketed, well, basically then from $4 to $50 a barrel. In the Babangida days, 1990, we had the Gulf War, and crude oil went up as well. You know, the journalists started asking Babangida, where is the Gulf oil windfall? Again, in 2006-07, under Yar'Adua, that was when our reserves got up to $62 billion, highest ever. You know, also in 2011, under Jonathan, even though then the governors put Okonjo-Iweala under pressure, they shared the money. That was the share the money era.
Yeah.
But now we're hearing that if it keeps going up, we would suffer more. Perhaps because of subsidy, but the subsidy does not entirely explain the situation. Okay. Other things that may come in is the fact that our cost of production of crude per barrel is perhaps one of the highest in the world, if not the highest in the world. And so something needs to be done about that. We're not producing enough. No new investment is going into the sector. We've moved from joint venture to PSC. And, you know, in the PSC arrangement, whereas the joint venture says that Nigeria will put down some money, the international company will put down some money, so you're like partners, right? But the PSC says that Nigeria doesn't have to do anything. And of course, the white people, all these white IOCs, they are much wiser than you are. And so if you say that you want them to put all the investment in, then take the profit and give you whatever is left, nothing comes in. In fact, the first time we tried that in the 70s, immediately after that first oil price spike, things went down south in 1974-75. We tried it with ADAX, and it resulted in a big loss for Nigeria. And PSCs have always been like that. I think it was just 2019 that the law was relooked at. Some people brought up the laws. I think Rivers State, Bayelsa, some of the oil-producing states came together through a long process of court cases. They managed to get, you know, a kind of amendment to work. That because there were some laws that were signed in 1980, I think maybe 1991 or so, thereabouts, under Abacha, when we just wanted to produce, you know, whatever the case, we went back to PSC. Anyhow, we're in that PSC era now, and Nigeria is not getting anything. I was reading this morning, Waziri Adio, who was former Naiti chairperson, And from what he wrote, like from all of this, for every barrel of crude oil we produce, we only get 20%. I remember that in the last budget, reading by the Minister of Finance. I think I was there live in Ministry of Finance. And of course, when they start with the assumptions, you see that, we want to produce 1.5 million barrels a day, and we want to expect a $62 bar. I did point out to them that they need to do something about that budget. That's how I've always seen it from time memorial. This 1.5 million barrels you're saying is not yours. Okay? It used to be as much as 35% that will come to Nigeria before. I'm reading today in an article written by Waziri, I think yesterday or so, that it's only 20% that we're getting. So by the time I did the maths, I was sitting down with a friend of mine who's with NNPC. The time I did the math, I said, wow, we are going to continue to run a huge loss in that sector. And then what do we have again apart from crude oil in this country? We're talking about oil and non-oil sector. We're still on the other side. We're basically a primary product producer, perhaps if you call it that, It's about sesame seeds and yam and cassava and hibiscus and soya bean and so on in raw form. And so, but our tastes are very, very sophisticated. Very sophisticated in and out of government. And so, there's a mismatch. I'm thinking, my God, the way this is looking is as if the economy is collapsing. Is it
that taste is sophisticated for, I don't like
for everything imported? That's the thing, because like we said, we know we don't import much. Even when the central bank says, for example, oh no, we will not be financing through official forex tomatoes and Indian incense and fish and meat and eggs, and of course the liberal economists amongst us come up and say, no, throw open everything, let anything come in and anything, because we want to assume that we're at the level of the United States of America, which of course those guys are very, very, very wily. They can tell you, look, everybody open up, but they're not opening up everything in their economy. Try and take 1 grain of beans into the US in your bag. They are very much vehemently against anything that can even grow in their country. They are very suspicious of everything you're taking in. They are scrutinizing everything. But look at us today. Where do we start? Of course, people like us, we've warned, we've begged over time, but it seems like until things get to a level of disaster, our governments don't listen. So we're in a point now where the crude oil is not saving us anymore. Like you said, other things are jumping on it. I was looking at it this morning, writing an article about the failure of economies. Okay, when you say an economy has collapsed, what does it mean? And of course, the research took me to study, economic depressions. And of course, the issue is when your interest rate spikes, your inflation spikes, your crime, unemployment, all of those things. And I've always said on this show and elsewhere that I certainly believe that Nigeria has always been in a state of economic depression, only that it's getting more acute now. I mean, ASU, for example, the university lecturers, strike, they've increased it by another 2 months yesterday. I mean, it's like toying with the lives of these young people. 2 months is a lot of time elsewhere. Young people like that can be very productive and doing stuff. But they postpone it. But the truth is that when I look at the situation we are in, unfortunately for us, it doesn't seem to me that there's anywhere government can pull the money out from. In time, if we're not careful, even to pay salaries will be a problem. All right, so, and of course, to even make matters worse, even China, as liberal as they are in giving loans, have stopped giving us loans, meaning that a lot of our projects are likely to be stalled somewhere in the middle. And I think all of this, what it means is that we're seeing a first-time feedback, the fact that we don't do a lot of things ourselves in this country. I mean, we've gone to university. University of Ibadan was set up 72 years ago. We are still not creating stuff ourselves. And until we go back to that basics, to say what can we do to help ourselves. I think you were talking about, electricity and all of that, what we can produce and what we're not producing, TCN and all of that, the transmission, distribution, all of this. There's been a few system collapses in the last few days. Total blackouts in Lagos, Abuja, and a few other whatever, you know. So, but the point is that if we still believe that until we go to Siemens in Germany to come and help us, or go to General Electric in the United States, if we still believe that until we create a huge, you know, power distribution center somewhere to feed the whole of Nigeria, we are still going to be in the same position. So I've always advocated a new thinking about many of these are problems. I believe that, you know, just as it is for crude oil and most other sectors, even the case of refining, for example. I've been studying, you know, the very small units of refining. Part of the reason we're in this point today is also because, funny enough, when they moved against the illegal, quote and unquote, refiners in the Delta area, the diesel and other things that they've been producing have been shot out of the system, further making diesel more expensive and in fact creating all of this scarcity we have. Diesel right now is going for about 700 naira per liter.
How about even the Jet A1 fuel?
And of course Jet A1 fuel.
And we're seeing the airliners threatening, saying
in 3 days time that they may not even be able to fly anymore.
Can you buy an
for a country that, you know, so why are we thinking
120,000?
about, you know, beyond even modular refining? And I was going to talk about electricity. You know my position on that. I've always said that the electricity problem of this country will not be solved until we understand the urgency of now and until we're pressing students of electrical engineering, electrical electronic to power the villages around their university and scale up from there. Just like it happened for Germany, they started small, they scaled up after the Second World War before connecting the national grid. The whole idea of the big man, you know, bringing electricity from up and sending it down is not working, has failed. The same way for the refining. If we know that we can certainly no longer run those huge refineries in Port Harcourt, Kaduna, and Warri, we can no longer run them. The original equipment manufacturers are no longer servicing those refineries. Okay, of course, refineries can last up to 100 years or more. There are a couple of them in Houston, Texas that I've been to that have been around for that long. But the difference is that they produce their own systems themselves. So they understood them, they can run them. We got Italians to come and build ours, okay, and we have no idea what to do to continue to maintain them or to do the so-called turnaround maintenance and whatever it is. We have to look for them. And then you go back there and they tell you, well, sorry, we're not. So why are we not thinking about what are those boys doing in the Niger Delta? You know, you don't have to work with them directly, but there's a lot to learn from that. You know, universities have been teaching petroleum and gas engineering for God knows when, but you send out all those children out of university and you say, oh, well, we haven't taught them any practical. This is the time, if only we had the urgency of now, to change the curriculum. ASU should be engaged not only in terms of how much money they want to get for leave allowance and all of the things they're asking for. The change of curriculum for a country that knows that, you know, that it is in trouble. But we don't act like that. We still just like everything is okay. Money is coming. The truth is, if you look at Nigeria, we are running a very tight budget. Okay, I won't call Nigeria a poor country per se, because so long as we have human beings, we are not poor. Okay, a couple of companies like Apple, like Microsoft, their total, you know, worth is bigger than the GDP of Nigeria times 3, times 4. Okay, times 3, 4.
5
you know?
times.
you know. So I mean, we have about
Apple
10 companies like that. So what it means is that, you know, we so long as we have the human capital, we can challenge our people. But are we encouraging them? All these young people, beyond finance, beyond technology. Okay, they can do technology to do a lot of things. But in terms of increasing general productivity, let people understand that they're actually creating something to add value to this economy.
Okay, so quick 4 things or 5 things that you comment on as we approach 12. Poverty capital. India has overtaken Nigeria.
No, let's not be deceived,
hold on.
Nancy,
hold on.
That one.
Yes, poverty capital, you talk about that. Russia-Ukraine crisis, at least on the show in the last, I think the war in Ukraine, this is the 3rd week now, if I'm not mistaken. I've done shows on it, the impact, global economy and Nigeria. I would like to get your views on that, especially as it concerns the food crisis that has been said that we would likely go into. That's second. Then, you know, okay, you've talked about power and gas and all that. Then leadership.
Leadership.
Yes. this is a pre-election year. I want you to talk as an economist, really, yes, and take off. I'm not saying
take off the politician cap.
Yes, yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Take off that politician cap and take a look at it economically, because even from where I sit, I was talking with a friend, was it yesterday or on Sunday? And I was like, when we were talking, and I said, I pity the next leader of this country. That's it's not going to be beans, man, leading. And Nigerians should also be ready. If we have a leader with a vision and where that person wants to take us, to be able also to tighten our belts, that it's not going to be easy.
To walk.
Yes. If who that leader will be in 2023, because the challenges are more than 2015 and 2019. It's not a matter of gloom. But, you know, so what I...
So the first one is what?
Poverty.
Poverty. I looked at the worldpoverty.io, you know, index, and, you know, almost every country in the northern hemisphere of this world, save for Afghanistan and in the Far East, you know, maybe Burma or one of them, they are still, those ones are still having problems with poverty. Even in the southern hemisphere, you know, Africa is where the real poverty is. If you say that India, you see that the India map is showing green, meaning that despite the adjustment for COVID, all right, which you know occasioned a lot of lockdowns and so on, but India showing green shows that people are getting out of poverty on a per second basis. Nigeria shows red, meaning that more people are going into poverty even at that 70 million. In about 6 months' time, you may see that India has reduced, Nigeria has increased, and we're backward. And in fact, we talk about proportion, you know, 90 million people out of 1.3 billion versus 70 million people.
The percentage,
out
ours
of
is still higher.
So we're still the
highest,
followed by Congo Republic at 67 million. So, and you know, I was shocked, you know, moved to tears, seeing that China is one of the countries that have now achieved less than 3% of people in poverty. China. Meaning that I think that there's a growth element in pursuing the reduction of poverty. I think that if countries focus or leaders focus on reduction of poverty, it is also equivalent to good growth. You know, the Chinese people, when they were eradicating this poverty, there were years that they were growing at 15%. Apart from the last decade where they grew at 10% year on year, back to back, and then of course the COVID slump came, and now they're back on track at 8.5%. India as well are back on track at about 8% growth per annum, and here we are. You know my struggles and what I've always said, that Nigeria should be targeting double-digit growth rather than this 3%, 2% thing we've been doing. It doesn't work for us, and again, it's also about the urgency of now. But in the imagination of how countries achieve growth, is perhaps what is lacking in governmental sector. But again, I also understand that when people are in government, you know, it's like being close to an elephant. You know, you may not be able to make sense out of what's going on. I mean, you see all these papers flying around, you think it's about signing contracts and so on. How is it impacting on the people? So there's a part that which they can also study. In the case of China, they collaborated with even the private sector in eradicating poverty. Companies will go to rural areas, they will build new houses for them, move those poor people, give them a better, good life kind of living, you know, build greenhouses for them, increase their productivity by a factor of 10. You know, we have to look at everything, including culture. You mentioned one thing now. The leader that's going to come has to understand this is not a joke, and it's not about looking good, though. I'm serious. And but whoever is going to come must know that one of the biggest issues we're going to have, the behavioral problems that we have. I just shared something on my Facebook now, a typical Nigerian party full of boys, you know, spraying money, dancing on top of it, using it to play football. Typically, we're not talking of Obi Kubana now. It has now become a natural, normal thing to do. You know, so some of those things, and if a leader comes and speaks to things like, the guys, we can't afford this, you know, we need to move, you know, look at what's going on in the rest of the world. Would they not say that it's being an oppressor? Leave us, let us do our thing the way we want. But you look, I'm saying, the last article I wrote, I said, even 10-year-old children of Nigeria should now begin to, they should grow up so fast, they should begin to think about their own children, even that they haven't had, if we knew the problems we have and where we're going to. So the fact that Nigeria is still producing poor people, we're still producing people migrating all over the place, illegal migration all over the place, running through the deserts, dying everywhere. We happen to be the country with the worst reputation on earth. And that forecloses a lot of opportunities on us. You know, people don't want to deal with you if you're a Nigerian. You can't scale your business internationally. Those of us who have done business at that level, we know what we face. You know, until you double, triple prove yourself before people will be comfortable with you and you're just an exception. We need to get back into the international community. A certain myopia has seized us, whereby we see small money, we think it's a big deal. We sell the small crude, somebody runs with the money, small budget, that I labored so hard. I've written 2 books on this issue of all these small budgets and even our so-called pursuit of, you know, youth entrepreneurship that doesn't work. Have we not been pursuing youth entrepreneurship for so long? What is the result? You know, so we need responsible governance in this country. You know, I've written 2 books. I wrote my PhD dissertation on the same issue, challenging the status quo. You know, so we see all this small money. Our budget is maybe $130 per person, our national budget. Go to South Africa. They're doing about $2,800 per person, national budget. The budget of Johannesburg.
Yeah.
The budget of Johannesburg.
There are not as many as we are, Dr.
That's what I'm saying. I was talking about there are 60 million people in South Africa doing a budget of you know, how much are we doing? 30 billion here. Their budget is about 150 billion times 5 hours. The budget of Johannesburg City alone is bigger, of 3 million people, is bigger than the budget of Lagos and Rivers State and which other states does something that's reasonable. All of them put together. We need a new thinking, all right? We need a new thing. Of course, I'm not running again, so I hope somebody comes who has the kind of vision.
Russia, Ukraine, lastly?
We hope that thing ends. Like I've told you, of course, we've discussed that, and the unfortunate situation that we will be unable, I'm sorry to tell you, that we will be unable to make anything out of what's going on.
Yeah, the food crisis aspect is what I'm talking about.
Of course, I mean, which Dangote himself said it that in less than 6 months' time we would have a food crisis. Bread prices, we import about 20% of our wheat from Russia, 4% from Ukraine. That's 24% that's probably going to be locked in. If all of these guys can't go to farm as a result of then the price will skyrocket. We know where, in fact, the bread of 100 naira in 2015 today already is about 400-500 naira. When I did a survey of inflation on food items, I was seeing about 350% since 2015 to date. You know, so I think that we haven't, and you know, the point is, it's not like we don't offer, you know, we don't offer ideas. We have to continue to offer ideas. Your kind of show. I wish that the next government will please listen. You don't know it or you can't know it or you're too close to the problem. Listen to what people are saying. Call, you know, be magnanimous enough. Call huge conferences. This government, the only conference they had on economics was in 2015. That was organized by Fire and Co. It was the only one, and after that, they shut everybody out. And okay, fine, but look at it. So this is not about being a Superman. Whoever is going to come and take over from this mess, forget about being a Superman. Work with every idea, press everybody into service, and focus on productivity across the board.
I don't pity who that next, Abi. I don't envy, or what's the word?
It's true.
Yes, because you've got to roll up your sleeves, and the selection process has to be very rigorous. And I'm not beginning to see what's happening around the political parties right now is not giving me any kind of hope.
That's another thing.
I'm sorry. It's not a political show, but it's political economy. And I think when it comes to that level, I'll discuss it when they look them. As they say, they look them. Thank you very much, Dr. Fasua, for coming. Yes,
Since last year.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Fasua, for coming. You've said food crisis, we've got to, you know, roll up our sleeves. How long does it take for wheat to even get produced? I heard it's 3 months.
Yes, I'm sure 3 months. 4 times a year.
Yes, so what's stopping us?
We can also begin to grow more of ours.
What's stopping us? The Minister of Agriculture and Co. Anyway, that's the show today. Be the best you can be and be that change that you want to see. I'll see you all again tomorrow, God willing. My name is Nancy Naji. Bye for now.